You're in the right place at the right time, stretching from the distant spaceports of Batu, Tatooine, and Vorzid 5, all the way to the bright center of the galaxy at Imperial Center, slamming into your holoprojector like a supercharged nanoparticle of coaxium. This is the Star Wars Unfiltered podcast. I'm John, he's Jason, and we're here to bring you your needed dose of Star Wars film, TV, book, comic, gaming, and collecting news. The date is October 27th, 2021. And we got a whole roundup of news today. We got big drop about casting news for Ahsoka that we're going to go into. Star Wars stars getting their Hollywood Walk of Fame accolades. We got an update about Indy 5 again. We got some Star Wars book news for upcoming books for 2022. And then we are going to talk about Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales. How's your last few weeks been, Jason?
Good. I watched Dune, which
Nice.
yeah, I know you're a what do you call you guys, Dune heads?
Yeah, that's a good question. I just noticed the Duneverse, but I don't know if the fans have a name
Dune
per
fans.
se.
I know you're a
Yeah.
big Dune fan. I have never really been a big Dune fan. I've never gotten around to start reading the books and stuff, but I think
Yeah.
this movie, this adaptation,
Mm.
actually really makes me want to delve into that universe.
Yeah. I still need to see it, but I'm
you haven't
going
watched
to
it
soon. I haven't. I've been focusing on my horror movies this month, but probably November 1st or 2nd, I'll
I
probably
wanted to
see
pick your brain about it because
Well, I know little bits and pieces about. I mean, the story is the story. It's unchanged as far as like.
I wanted to know like how if it deviated from the book at all
Yeah.
versus the Lynch 84 version or the
That's the
2000
funny
sci-fi
thing.
version.
Yeah, each adaptation has had small variations. Probably the Lynch version had the biggest deviations, interestingly enough, because they're still trying to condense everything into a basically 2-hour movie for the theatrical release. And so yeah, there was some additions, and the Sci-Fi Channel version was pretty faithful. As far as the new one, even though I haven't seen it, just as far as casting, I know the biggest change is turning Liet Kynes' character into a woman, and that was the planetologist played by Max von Sydow in the Lynch version. And I'm unsure about why that would happen, other than maybe they wanted the cast to be more diverse. But
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. It's tough because Max von Sydow, so like he's such an iconic actor, and a lot of those actors that were in the Lynch movie were.
Yes.
But as far as the character is concerned,
well, that's the thing.
probably
His
not a big
character.
deal.
Well, you would think that, but then if you read the novel and even the prequel novels by Kevin Janderson and Brian Herbert, even with Frank Herbert's notes, that character is actually extremely important. And his even though he dies in the story, no spoilers, I don't think, it's been out for years. The character, the basically the dominoes that character sets up run through the next few books. So it's a pretty important thing. So the fact that they recast
right,
it,
but I just
what the
mean
heck?
like the race and or sex of the character.
Oh, probably not a big deal.
It probably actually makes more sense. It probably makes more sense when they're trying to have the Fremen have more of like a racial identity.
Yeah.
That's true. At least as far as like skin color and stuff, I don't think it really matters, But if they're like people that have been living in the desert for a really long time, there's going to be certain like physical characteristics.
Right. And Liet Kynes is
certain people can be
because...
booty blasted about if those things change in characters and movies, as we know.
Yes. But... I am looking forward to seeing this a lot because Dennis Villeneuve or Vil I don't know how to say his last name. Anyway, he's a great director. He is probably my favorite recent like hot director as far as like Blade Runner 2049 and Prisoners, which I really loved, and I still need to see The Arrival from 2016. It's been on my radar for like so long to watch that movie. That was the one that had Forrest Whitaker and it was like an alien invasion.
I need to
thing.
watch that, and I need to watch Blade Runner
I need to
movie over
rewatch
there.
Blade Runner because I saw it in the theater and then not since, and there's
Yeah.
no real reason for that other than time. But he's a great director, and he has such an attention to detail, and his stories are always very moving and very. He seems like if you see one of his movies, you know it's his style too.
Yeah.
There's so many directors and so many movies these days that are very generic and they just come and go, and we don't have any like Spielberg's, Lucas's, and De Palma's anymore. It's like everything is just churned out in this cheese
Well, I
grater that
mean,
all looks the same.
it's just they take a bigger cut of the pie, but they're still, iconic directors. You
They're
just
still
have to.
iconic directors, but as far as like big blockbuster movies
Oh well,
that
yeah, because
aren't Marvel or
do
you know
those
what I mean?
exist? Do those exist at
Yeah,
this
that was
point?
it's a relic from a bygone age. But
Well,
yeah.
the only thing I'll
Um,
say about it, because I don't want to sit here and talk about Dune forever. I was just really
right.
excited, about it. But I guess I was reading that there's a lot of stuff that ended up on the cutting room floor because there
In
is
a
even
Dune adaptation?
right,
No
yeah.
way.
But even with them cutting it in half, and the movie itself being 2.5 hours, um, but I guess Dennis V is not especially known for like extended cuts or like director's cuts. So I don't know if we'll ever get that.
It's kind
Like
of a shame, and I like that Peter Jackson would have stuff set aside specifically for the extended cuts.
yeah, I think what is it? Blade Runner, was it 2049? That's the
Yeah,
the year.
yeah,
Um, I think that's supposed to have like a lot of stuff on the cutting room floor, but
hmm
obviously that's a little different because it's not adapted from an existing
yeah,
story or book or whatever.
right,
Lord of the
right.
Rings was, Dune is.
hmm
So I'm kind of hopeful that even though I haven't read the book, that there would be an extended cut, um, because the little bit I've read about and seen like stills of looks really cool. So
Yeah, yeah.
hopefully, hopefully they do that. And of course, we got to wait 2 years for the next
And
movie.
why didn't they film it at the same time?
I don't know. I don't
It seemed
know.
like this it would have been the smart thing to do unless it was a budget concern or something like that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back into the Duneverse. It's been years for me. I think I started with the Kevin Janderson, Brian Herbert prequel trilogy that initially came out, and then I read the next four Frank Herbert books. On book five, I got halfway through and then I set it aside, and that was already 13 years ago. So, but the thing is, as those books go on, the Frank Herbert ones, they get really dense and really wordy, and those
Hmm.
last two books are very difficult, even for hardcore Dune fans. So
I
it
can't wait for them
wasn't,
to make a movie out of those.
yeah, yeah, I know, right? If they ever do. And anyway, yeah,
Anyway, so
Dune's fun.
you've been watching horror movies, right?
I've
That's what
been
you've been
doing a
doing.
lot of horror cramming this month as I typically do in October, but um yeah, just a combination of revisiting some classics that I've seen over the years, but also I'd say 50-50 on new things that I've always wanted to see, or just dredging up from the annals of 80s schlock. I revisited The Gate. Of course, I still need to see The Gate too, that you were able to obtain for me, but and then yeah, I've been just like checking different things out. There was Body Bags, of course, that was the John Carpenter TV movie that had Mark Hamill in a segment. Um, but yeah, just across the board, just different stuff. It turns out that I don't know if it was the influence of seeing the In Search of Darkness documentary, but when I look at my list of everything I have seen, it's like all gravitating to the 80s, which I mean that was like the decade for horror, but like I still love so many things from the 70s, the 90s, the 50s. So
Yeah.
it's just funny that that decade still has a stranglehold on my viewing habits, but what are you gonna do?
Well, it's like if
Um
you want, 20 years from now, if you want to watch comic book movies, you're going to go back to the
to the
to the two
2000s,
to the 20
2010s.
the 20 teens, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much the 20 teens, I guess, probably has more because Iron Man is 2008, and then that was kind of a build up to the next decade. So
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. But yep, lots of good fun with horror movies. And we got this big oh, first of all, I wanted to mention uh a shout out to our loyal listener, Ben Rye, or viewer, I should say, because he has a YouTube channel with lots of cool gaming content. He mentioned in a comment that he was like, "Hey guys, where's the rest of Shadows of the Empire?" for the lore play commentaries, and I thought we had put them up because when the last level, well, first of all, it was the files I had. Usually, when you and I edit videos and trade files, we do it through OneDrive, and then I usually grab everything at once and then I put it in my own folder. I guess in doing that, I forgot to download the last two. And so when I put them up, I see like what looks like Shizor's palace, and I'm like, yeah, that's the last level. Definitely.
You're trying to
But I kind of
scrub the last level from your memory.
I know, right? So it was and then I skimmed the video, but maybe I didn't watch the very end, and I had kind of forgotten that there was a flying segment at the very end. So between the both of us, it went up and it was just like no big deal. And then we moved on to Super Star Wars as we've been doing. But then Ben Rye left this comment, "Are you guys gonna finish Shadows?" And I'm like, wait a second. Sure enough, I went back in our archives of on OneDrive and I was like, I didn't put those up. So little shout out to him for reminding me those are up now. The last one is going up this Friday, and in 2 days, probably by around the time this podcast is up. But yeah, Shadows of the Empire is finishing off, and just around the corner, we got Super Empire Strikes Back lore play
Yes.
commentaries. So we're still chipping away at that. I think we've captured what half the game, roughly.
A little over half. Yeah.
Little over half. But anyway, so now that that's out of the way, that's our PSA for the episode. Check out Ben Rye's channel. He's got some great gaming content himself. So, but we got this big drop about Hayden Christensen, of course, Anakin Skywalker himself. What other Hayden is there? Being cast in the upcoming Ahsoka Disney Plus series. This came through the Hollywood Reporter, and this is pretty big, wouldn't you say?
If it's true, I mean it probably is. I mean they're saying it's from multiple sources.
Yeah, you know what? This is the kind of thing that a year ago. Remember, I was poo-pooing the Rosario Dawson news because I was like,
Right.
I don't know, this isn't from StarWars.com. But then now, in retrospect, according to the Mandalorian Disney Gallery documentary, we realized that was like a leak, basically,
Yeah.
on some of those things. So I would think that this also kind of comes from that sort of source. Like it probably was someone saw something and then the Hollywood Reporter grabbed a hold of it. They probably can confirm in their own way, even if it's behind the scenes.
Well, and
And
it's
then
pretty obvious too. Like Boba Fett, or not necessarily Boba Fett, but Tamora Morrison coming on, or playing Boba Fett and Rosario playing Ahsoka. That was
yeah,
kind of obvious. I mean,
it
certainly in the
was.
case of Tamora and Boba Fett, that's super obvious casting.
That's
But
when I started to be like, okay, these things have some legitimacy. It's not just like in the past when things could be clamped down on easier before social media and we had to get everything from StarWars.com.
yeah,
That was it.
and Rosario, she's, I mean, in my mind, she's the obvious choice to play an older Ahsoka. So, and
Hmm.
there's nothing precluding her from doing it either, like her schedule, prior commitments, all that stuff.
Right,
It's not like rumors of Benedict Cumberbatch being Thrawn, right? That,
right.
to me, that doesn't seem plausible. He's too busy, and I think he'd be
It
terrible as
it
Thrawn.
reeks of
Yeah,
fan fiction, sort of like this is what I want to happen kind of
yeah.
thing.
It's an off
Yeah,
base, like it's kind of obvious casting, but also kind of
but
off
too
base.
obvious. Yeah,
I just think he'd be a terrible Thrawn. So I just, the
yeah,
obvious choice in that case is Lars. Just bring the
yes,
voice actor in. He looks like he could play Thrawn.
right,
He was great in Sherlock as
yes,
whatever his name is, Magnuson.
right.
Um, anyway, so Hayden coming in as Anakin, I guess, was it officially announced that he's going to be back for Kenobi, or is that rumor too?
Yes, that is official.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it it makes it's obvious, right? It makes sense. If he's coming back
that's the
for
part.
Kenobi, he can come back
Yes,
for Ahsoka. There's like this strong connection between her and Anakin, obviously, Master and
yes.
Padawan.
And here's the interesting part. When initially, I think all of us, including you and I, we were thinking that this Ahsoka series is going to be set entirely post Return of the Jedi, and I think it still is. However, with the casting of Hayden, it seems like this now seems to imply that they'll have flashback scenarios, and maybe it'll be like a half and half flashback, half current thing where we see them flashing back to their Clone Wars adventures,
Yeah.
which if you look at Hayden nowadays, he could easily play his Clone Wars self. He's aged really well,
Mm-hmm.
and by
It wouldn't take
getting
much
in,
to de-age him if they felt the
yeah,
need to do
exactly.
that.
Yeah, if they need to do that. And this fascinates me because obviously the Clone Wars is loved by many people, and we love Clone Wars, and the connection that Ahsoka and Anakin have in that series is great. So to see this potentially in live action, I mean, that's mind blowing to think about. That we'll be seeing Anakin Skywalker at the height of his powers again, played by Hayden. Like who? I mean, potentially here, this is still speculation, but who would have thought that that would ever happen again after Revenge of the Sith years later?
Yeah.
So
Well, the other thing I haven't, we read the first Thrawn book, but in
yeah,
subsequent books,
in the new canon,
these
yes.
Thrawn and Anakin had run-ins together,
Mhm.
and Vader. So I wonder
Absolutely.
if Thrawn's going to be in the Ahsoka series, or they're building up to it. I wonder if there's going to
Yes.
be if that's going to factor in at all.
I know. I'm very excited for the potential synergy between these series and these books and all kinds of stuff. And hopefully it'll give the Disney book people and the I'm having a brain fart here. The people that keep track of the continuity,
Oh, the story group.
the story group. Hopefully it gives
You
them.
forgot what they were called because they don't do it.
I think you're right. But hopefully this gives them a shining example of what they can do, because by and large, even though I was impressed with minor synergistic things for the sequels and Rogue One and Solo, I think it was all a misfire as far as their involvement. So,
Oh, 100%.
and I think everyone can say that with confidence based on mistakes and other things. So, this is uh this is a potential for some real true synergy between media. So that's exciting.
Yeah,
And
the last thing I want to observe on this whole thing is with Anakin and Ahsoka, because if it's not a lot of flashbacks, then it's going to be Force Ghost, right? And
right.
in general, with the sequels, especially there's a lot more Force Ghost action than there was in the old EU.
Right.
More in line with Obi-Wan in the original trilogy, because I
Hmm.
remember, I think it was in Truce at Bakura, Luke has that like
Yes.
final conversation with Obi-Wan as a Force Ghost, and
Actually,
like
not the final. The final was an Heir to the Empire a few years later, but he had the first one
the
with
first last conversation.
yes, yes.
Because but in that book, like Obi-Wan says, like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to hang out or whatever, right? I seem to
Actually, that
recall.
that's what he says in Heir to the Empire.
Oh
He's
man,
like
I
he's
mixed that
like
up. Well,
I know my
it has been
well
like
they
30
came out
years.
they came out so close together. You haven't read either one in a long time, but actually his ghost in Truce at Bakura appear. This is like the next day after Return of the Jedi.
Right.
He appears to Luke and says, "You need to go to Bakura. Here's why. The Cyruk and da da da." It wasn't really like when you look
Oh,
at the
okay. Yeah,
larger picture. There
I,
wasn't a lot about the Force, but
I mixed it up because at the time I didn't read stuff in release order, especially at that time. I was able to
yeah,
like read stuff in chronological, so I went boom, boom, boom. I went like
right,
Truce, and then Courtship, and then Heir to the Empire, like
right,
really in quick succession. But anyway, so
right.
in the books they kind of tabled, you know, the Force Ghost stuff.
Hmm.
As far as like, you're not going to see Yoda popping up all the time. You're not going to see Obi-Wan,
Yeah, I
but in the
think
sequel trilogy, you do see that. And then potentially in
yeah,
Ahsoka, you're going to see a lot more, Force Ghosts running around.
yeah, I think that was still something that Lucas back then through his little like notes or outlines for the book people, he was like, try not to go here, try not to go there, don't go
Mm-hmm.
to Clone Wars. I think Force Ghost was still something they were hesitant to do unless they had specific approval of a scene
Yeah.
by
Which,
Lucas.
which is kind of funny because when you think about the like sort of the way that it works, right? Qui-Gon figured it out or rediscovered how to
Retain his
retain
identity.
his identity in the Force, and then he taught Yoda, and Yoda taught Obi-Wan, and then
Yes.
at some point Anakin figured it out. I don't know what's going on there, but it's a weird
And he
retcon.
got to be young too.
or
Hey
or
guys, I
or
look better than
Yoda
you.
or Yoda and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon were there, right?
Yeah.
Like you didn't see him, but they were there, and they helped Anakin retain his identity in the Force.
Yeah.
Anyway, so is it something that, as far as like that time period in the Star Wars universe, is that something that only those characters can do? Like it's like a starting point, like Qui-Gon, and then like then you get taught and you can do it, or can they bring people back? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Good
can
question.
they lift somebody's consciousness up out of the Force and have them have an identity? I would say probably not. Um, even though there's that whole scene in Rise of Skywalker. So it's interesting to think though that it's really just them, right? Like it's just Obi-Wan, Anakin, Qui-Gon, Yoda, and that's it.
Right.
Like there's no other Force ghosts running around because they're the only ones that knew how to do it when they died.
Right. And if there is others, maybe they're just voices, kind of like what Rey hears at the end of Rise of Skywalker. But that could have been her entering kind of a Force nexus,
Current,
so to speak.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just like echoes or whatever, like a
Right.
weird, like a
Right.
haunting or whatever.
Exactly.
Anyway,
So
so
yeah.
it's just that's I'm sure they'll fuck it up, and I'll get really annoyed, just like the hyperspace stuff
Absolutely.
that they've messed up. So I'll be like, "You're not
Yep.
following the rules."
Guaranteed.
But anyway, it's just a funny thing to think about, the whole Force
Right.
Ghost aspect of it. So anyway, it's really
Absolutely.
exciting. I like Hayden as Anakin, so
Yes.
I'm
Yeah, a
excited for
lot of
this.
people, obviously, all the prequel hatred, even people though that like the prequels, sometimes they still poo-poo Hayden's role in them, or specifically his acting or his dialogue or this or that. I've never had an issue with Hayden. Like, I mean, yes, I can see some of the dialogue and like the Milady thing in Attack of the Clones, and there's certain scenes, yes, they're really cheesy and he's angsty in that movie, but I've never particularly had any major issue with him,
Hey, you
like
know
other
what?
people do.
I think back to how I was at that age, and it
It
is
was like that.
cringe. It's cringe city.
Oh yeah,
It is
absolutely.
cringe city.
Yeah.
So
So
it's
maybe
totally
people,
accurate.
yeah, they don't want to reflect back on their own
And you know what?
younger years.
Even what's his face? Oh God, Anakin from the Phantom Menace.
Jake Lloyd.
Jake Lloyd. I should have just thought of Jingle All the Way. He's. I never had a problem with him because kids that age, they're that annoying. That's
He
how they
was
act.
9 years old. What do you
Yeah,
think a 9-year-old is going to act
yeah.
like?
They
So
can't all be Haley Joel Osments being all super serious and seeing dead people and
dead
stuff.
dead Jedi. Yeah.
Jake Lloyd was fine. They should bring him back. That'd be funny.
If only. If only. I won't open up that rabbit hole. We'll go down that
He's too
another
busy
day.
seeing his own Force ghosts, I guess.
Yeah, or pod racing against police speeders.
Okay,
So,
what's the next news item?
next news item here. We got news that Ewan McGregor, Carrie Fisher, and Ming-Na Wen are going to receive stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. This is
Great.
cool. In the case of Carrie, I thought she had one years ago. Um, I don't know what that's about,
I
but now,
well,
yeah,
I admit I don't know exactly how it works, and I couldn't be bothered to look it up in this instance.
right.
But I seem to recall reading or hearing at some point that you have to pay to maintain your own star. So it's kind of like you might get offered the star and be like, hey, you got to pay like 10,000 a year or 15,000 a year to maintain it and stuff, and
Right.
then people just decline or whatever. You know what I mean? So it could have been
I
that.
see.
It could have
I
been she was
see.
just like, I don't care, because when they were I think I read it or whatever when people were busting up Trump's star, and they just
Yes.
mentioned it's like, well, every time they bust it up, they Trump has to replace the star, something like that. I don't know.
Which is gonna just make them do it more.
I know,
But
right? Yeah,
if you
nickel and
hate him,
dime him, nickel and dime him. But then like Godzilla, I think Godzilla has a star. I don't know if
Yeah,
Toho pays for that. So,
yeah, maybe Aunt
but I
Gurus
don't
is
know.
paying for that.
Yeah. Uh, um. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there was like if she was being snubbed or it's just like an oversight or she just was like I don't want to bother with it. So
Yeah, it's funny when you realize who does and doesn't have a star, and there's been a lot of times someone like would get one. I'm like, holy crap, how did they not do that years ago? And or in this
well,
case with
and I think
Ming-Na Wen,
sorry, I
yeah,
think there's people that have multiple stars too for different things because they'll be stars for like actors, for musicians, for
yeah,
stage actors.
yeah. Or
So
sometimes there's just bands. I mean, Rush has a star, so it's like,
right. So but
there
there'll
was.
be people. I think there's some people that have more than one star for different things. So I don't know if they
Oh,
they pay for
okay.
that. Say it's just whatever. It's not anything that big, right? It's not
Yeah,
like this is
yeah,
the Hall of Fame of actors or whatever. It's just like oh,
right.
you get a star on the sidewalk.
And what's funny also is there's like I remember seeing back in the 90s I was there and I saw the Harrison Ford star, but then when I later realized is that there was a Harrison Ford from the silent era who had a star and it wasn't our Harrison Ford's
Be
who
funny is if they offered him one, right? And he's like, ah, I don't need one. That other Harrison Ford's got one. People's just gonna think it's me.
no one knows who the old Harrison Ford really
Yeah,
was these days.
exactly.
So, it's just funny the way that works out.
It's weird too
But
because a lot of actors change their names. Obviously, there's like a big disconnect. There's a big divide between silent era and modern era
yeah,
actors. But like, it's like what is it? Michael Keaton's real name is Michael Douglas,
I
but
did not know that.
he his Hollywood name is Michael Keaton because Michael Douglas is Michael Douglas. You
There
know,
is a lot of stage names, and Natalie Portman. Portman is not her real last name.
yeah.
I learned her real last name years ago, and I'm not going to repeat it here because she has a stage name for a reason. But yeah, it's sometimes it's just a privacy thing. A lot of times, or they just don't like their last name and they want to sound cool.
Well,
So
it's not hard to find her real last name.
no, it's not. But I just figured I'm not going to say it. I don't want to be that person.
Well,
We didn't reveal.
it's not a very attractive name that rolls off the tongue either.
No, it's
Her
not.
last
But
name, but
I
anyway,
feel that way about I'm not going to show where Art Bell lived, like when he was still alive. Although
even
so
though
when
we
Natalie
even though
yeah,
we drove by his house,
right, exactly. We documented it for our personal use, but
right?
we didn't, commercialize it
Oh
in any way.
yes, yes. Well, now I feel like an
Um,
asshole for pointing out that Michael Keaton's real name is Michael Douglas,
I'm sure he's going to beat down our door with the comments and everything.
dressed as Batman.
That would scare me. It would.
Yeah.
It really would. But now there's this thing with Ming-Na Wen because I feel like it's too soon for her to get a star, but maybe not. I mean, I looked at the list of in the article, and I mean, she does have a credits list that goes back more than 30 years, and she's got all these things, but I feel like she's not quite relatively like iconic
Well,
yet.
that just illustrates the fact that it's just kind of it doesn't really mean much. It's a nice honor. It's
Yeah,
cool. Like
I
it's
feel
cool.
like
There's nothing wrong with it, but
no.
it's not like a Hall of Fame or whatever.
It's hitting me differently, but I feel like Ewan is getting his at exactly the right time. He is iconic at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's been around now in the Hollywood presence for roughly 25 years in big and small movies, and everyone kind of knows his name and his face.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's just the right time for him to get his accolades. So uh, that's great news. I'm glad for everybody, including Ming-Na Wen.
Yep.
I
Good
didn't
for
mean
them.
anything negative for with those comments about her not being quite iconic because I love her. And if she got it just for playing Chun-Li in Street Fighter, then so be it, as far as I'm concerned.
Works for me. All right, let's talk about Indiana Jones 5 has been delayed again.
What? No way.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So I think 2023 now. June
Oh
30,
man.
2023. It's
Oh
the
boy.
it's the Indiana Jones and the Temple of the Forbidden sequel,
Yeah,
I
no
think.
kidding. Well, you and we've been skeptical the whole time with this
Mhm.
movie. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're looking forward to it. There's elements of it that you and I like that we're excited to see, but with the oft mentioned pulling back of Spielberg into just a producing role, or maybe is it just executive producer? I can't recall. Um, it's just one more. I don't want to say nail in the coffin of this movie because that entails a bad result in the end. But
Well, it's
it's
like I would liken it to if Geddy Lee, because I know you're a big Rush fan, if Geddy Lee went out and tried to write, he got someone to like try and write Rush songs, right? Like,
with that to replicate Neil Peart's
yeah, exactly.
lyrical and musical
Yeah,
style.
because Geddy has solo album, right? He has
He
a
has
solo
one.
album, one, yeah.
He has
So it'd be like he go yeah, and he wasn't like trying to do Rush songs, right? He's doing his own
right.
thing. But this is like if Geddy Lee went out and was like, okay, you write me some Neil Peart type songs, then I'm
Yep.
gonna get this other guy to play like Alex, and then it's gonna be Rush,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right, right.
that's kind of what
That's
it feels like.
actually a really good analogy. Or as some people might say, like when Pink Floyd went out without Roger Waters in the late '80s and beyond, and they called it Pink Fraud because Roger Waters had such a firm stamp on the lyrical and conceptual
Yes.
content of The Dark Side of the Moon and The Wall. It's a lot like that. So with
Mm-hmm.
the lack of Spielberg in a direct role as director, and without Lucas being
Cooking
there
up
on
the
this,
idea.
the ideas and the script and things like that, and no Kasdan, I don't think he's involved
I don't.
in
I
any
think
way.
maybe I think John was
John Kasdan, I think
originally.
is
He was originally.
yeah.
I don't think his script is being used now.
Okay, okay. But again, there's casting that we like. I think Phoebe Waller-Bridge is a great actress. She was great as L3, and from other clips of her in other movies that I've seen, she's really good. And isn't Lars in it? Or no, who am I thinking
Mads,
of?
his brother, Mads
Yeah, that's right,
Mikkelsen.
Mads.
He's in it. He's
Yeah,
great and everything.
yeah, yeah. So, and Harrison looks good in the hat and from the pictures I've seen, and but it's delayed again, and it's just like, come on, guys, come on, we want to
You know
see.
what it is? Wake me up when it hits theaters. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's kind of
let's
like
just.
Maverick, right? Maverick was supposed to be out in 2019,
Oh,
and
don't
it is
even
now
tell me
20.
about
It's now
Maverick.
it's the end of 2021. It's not going to be out till 2022, presumably.
Yeah, Maverick,
So,
my long-awaited love. That's
but
whose
that's in the
trailer.
can. That's in the
It's
can.
in the can.
That's it exists. It's ready to be watched. We just have to get there to that point.
A movie whose trailer nearly 3 years ago got me misty-eyed, and now I have yet to see.
But
Um,
Harrison, JJ tried to kill him on the set of The Force
which
Awakens, and
movie? Yeah.
yeah, he broke his leg, and then he got hurt again, his shoulder, I think, right? This time with
Yeah.
Indy 5 in the
Yeah.
rehearsals or whatever. So it's
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
it's like it's not in the can. Come on, guys, let's put the pillows around the set so
Yeah.
Harrison can get through the filming.
No kidding.
Um,
Yeah,
I
I just
I'm yeah, whatever. We'll see.
yeah, I think that's all we got to say about that.
Yeah.
Not much. And then we got this news here about Mandalorian season 3 is filming this last month or so, and it managed to avoid the 90-day Hollywood strike, which was looming over everything. And I guess that all got negotiated, did it not? Um,
I don't. Honestly, I don't know because it didn't seem like it was huge news, or at least it wasn't on my radar. So I don't
And I was
know.
kind of not, I was touch and go with current news. I think it was going to potentially be a big thing where they were going to have to shut down not just The Mandalorian, but tons of stuff. And
Yeah,
I think there was this fear that it was going to delay everything by a few months.
no, and
And
that's exactly what we need: more delays on
yeah, more
everything.
delays. So maybe that was the thought of whoever negotiates this. Like we can't really take any more
Afford.
delays.
Yeah,
But at the same time, a lot of this, from what I understand from some of the articles I skimmed, it has to do with people that were being forced to work extreme hours for a certain amount of pay and this and that. But I mean, part of it at the same time, though, I think there's always crunch time with things in the movie industry. And a lot of times you're just paid a salary and it's not hourly or anything like that. And you're paid pretty darn good money in most cases. I can't say everything, but so I don't know if this was
Well,
par for the course or.
speaking of news around Hollywood and stuff, I think that there is a very good illustration of what happens when you cut corners, cut costs in Hollywood, and you don't
Mhm.
pay people what they should be paid, and you get people that aren't necessarily qualified to do certain things, and then you end up with people getting shot and killed on movie sets. So,
That's
because
true.
that's happening right now, and that is almost certainly that production was cutting costs and hired people that had no business being in charge of certain things. So,
And I haven't been following the specifics of that case, which is the Alec Baldwin scene that
yeah,
you're referring to.
yeah,
And having said that, all due respect to Alec Baldwin, because what I read was that he was in tears and super
yes,
crushed by this. And overall, I like Alec Baldwin to a certain degree. I don't always like his political kind of comments here and there, but if someone goes through something like this, I'm gonna have a lot of sympathy for them because he
yes,
obviously would be something like this is the kind of thing that scars you for life, like
mm-hmm.
beyond, years. So I don't wish this on anyone, and I hope everything turns out okay for the family of the person who passed, and I hope everything turns out okay for Alec and all that, because that just sucks. But
Yeah.
what you
So
said about cutting corners, yes,
yeah, so
this is what you don't want to do.
it is good that the Mandalorian skated by and avoided the strike. I don't know what the status of the strike is or if it got negotiated or whatever. Hopefully it works out for the union members and the people working in Hollywood, because we don't need people getting shot on set.
No, and
You
we
know?
also need Star Wars content now,
Yeah,
right now for
exactly.
me.
I at least hey, if you guys take all the time in the world you want on Ryan Johnson's trilogy, but I need Mando season 3 in the can.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you on that. And as far as I know from this article here that I linked to you, and I was kind of skimming over bits and pieces, there was some confirmation of certain characters returning. Nobody mind blowing. I mean, it was Carl Weathers was sending some tweets about starting filming, so you can put two and two together,
Yeah.
um, which I'm happy about. Grief returning, but yeah, there's other news that's more based on tweets out there, and we don't need to go through every single one, but they are starting production, and I think it's still aiming for a late 2022 release, which lines up always. It's always about a year from the time production starts to the time it comes out. And the article I did link you, for some reason, they were saying it could possibly be early 2022. I don't know what they're smoking, but if they're filming now, you're not going to see it like 5 months later. No
I don't know.
way.
I mean, it depends on how much post production they have to do, right? With the volume,
Well,
like
and here's the other thing. This article was saying this is based again on like one picture. I guess there was a set photo that was showing a blue screen, and then there was already a big poo-pooing like, "Oh, they're not using the volume. Oh my God, I'm crushed. Like this is the end of the Mandalorian being awesome." It's like, guys, calm the F down.
it's a
It's
tool. It's not. It's a means to the end. It's not the end.
if for some reason they needed blue screen, God forbid, Jesus Christ, just
Yeah,
calm your
the
tits.
volume's not going to work for every single
No,
not for every single effect shot. It doesn't work
no.
for certain effect shots. So,
Yeah, I want what's best for the scene and the show. And if they need to use blue screen, geez, it's okay. Calm
well,
down. It'll be okay.
I look forward to the final episode of the season when a mysterious ship flies in and Cara Dune takes out a bunch of stormtroopers, and there she is. She's back. She's going to be the big reveal at the end of the season.
I'm looking forward to it.
Favreau and Filoni
Give
flexed
the fans what they want.
on Kennedy and got Cara Dune back on the show.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'd like to see
So,
Gina back, but we'll
hey,
see.
I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it. She was certainly something that I liked in the first two seasons. So, I mean, just speaking of her character and everything, well, I still like her. Whatever. I like the way she looks. Anyway, uh, I think we covered that pretty good, and we got some Star Wars book news. What's going on with that, Jason? Fill me in.
Shadow of the Sith with Luke and Lando flying around.
You
What
know
can
what?
you?
I'm so excited for that one. Okay, we got 3 books here, but that one in particular, just reading
That's the one that matters.
that's the one that matters. Well, there's the Brotherhood one, which is Obi-Wan and Anakin during the Clone Wars, which I'm assuming is going to tie into probably the Obi-Wan Kenobi series in some shape or form. And then, of
We'll
course, we
see.
have Stories of Jedi and Sith, which is an anthology. Um, but going back to the Shadow of the Sith, just the description of it, which I'm going to pull up here right now. I'd like to read this because it, and of course, I can't find it. Okay, here it is. It sounds almost like a Bantam era story. I think because of the pair up of Luke and Lando, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of different.
Yeah.
Usually it was like Han, Luke, and Leia, but like Luke and Lando is just like the Corellian trilogy when when they went off to find Lando a new wife.
Well, that was a nice
But
thing about Bantam. They'd have different combinations of characters going off on adventures together.
yes,
Sometimes, in their separate
sometimes
threads, and
even
then coming back together.
yeah, like the Black Fleet Crisis did that with some interesting combinations. But yeah, here's the Shadow of the Sith caption. It says, "The Empire is dead. Nearly 2 decades on from the Battle of Endor, the tattered remnants of Palpatine's forces have fled to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. But for the heroes of the New Republic, danger and loss are ever-present companions, even in this newly forged era of peace. Jedi Master Luke Skywalker is haunted by visions of the dark side, foretelling an ominous secret growing somewhere in the depths of space on a dead world called Exegol, which we've been waiting for a while to see the story of this, alluded to in Rise of Skywalker. The disturbance in the Force is undeniable, and Luke's worst fears are confirmed when his old friend Lando Calrissian comes to him with reports of a new Sith menace. Uh, anyway, it goes on to describe Lando looking for his lost daughter that he had years earlier,
See,
and
in Bantam, he's looking for his new wife.
new
He's looking
wife,
for a
and this one
wife, and
is
this one he's
lost
looking for
daughter.
his daughter.
Wow, how
What I can't
2021
wait for them to explain is how come that knife physically like lines up with the wreckage
with the
of
Death Star
that
wreckage.
ancient Sith knife or whatever. It's like, what is this? The Goonies?
I know
You
it
know,
is like the Goonies. But
J.J. Abrams is like, yeah, I don't know.
he's
He's
Mr. 80s,
yeah, he mainlined '80s kids movies.
right? All we need now is like the next Star Wars Disney Plus series. It'll be just like Stranger Things, just like pulling in all the tropes.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, this sounds like a fun story though. When we heard this backstory from Lando, mostly in Rise of Skywalker, immediately I was like, this needs a novel.
Yeah.
Luke and Lando going off looking for Ochi of Bestoon and his Sith dagger. So yeah, I'm very interested to read this.
Yeah, me too. I hope it's good. I hope there's a lot of good humor. Lando always had the best segments in the
Yes,
Bantam era.
absolutely.
I thought so.
Yeah. And this is available for pre-order now, and it's due to come out May 10th of next year. And then, like I said, we got Brotherhood, which is a Clone Wars era novel by Mike Chen. And oh, by the way, Shadow of the Sith is by Adam Christopher. Uh, but yeah, Brotherhood is coming out. Sounds like, based on the description, there's some Clone Wars adventures on Cato Nemoidia. Maybe we're gonna find out about
Oh
that one
yeah,
time
the one time, yeah.
on Cato
This
Nemoidia.
sounds like total. Like, what was it, Bantam era, or was it Del Rey? I think it was
The
Del Rey.
Del Rey doing the Clone Wars books,
Yeah. So this sounds like old EU
prequel era, like
prequel
early
era
2000s.
generic, you know,
It
adventure
does.
with Anakin and Obi-Wan, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So
Right. Right.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm
I'm
excited, but
interested.
yeah.
I'm excited, but at the same time, I haven't even, other than a couple stories, I haven't even delved into the Del Rey era with all that. Other than I'm trying to think, like I've read one or two things, but that's a whole vast library
I
of
I
young
look for
reader and adult books and
you know what? I look
comics
forward to reading the Wikipedia article on this book.
on this book. Yeah, yeah, true. This one is also available for pre-order, and that's May 10th of next year. And then we got Stories of Jedi and Sith, which is an anthology. It says 10 acclaimed authors imagine all new tales for some of the saga's most popular characters, from Luke Skywalker to Darth Vader, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Asajj Ventress, and beyond, with illustrations. And this sounds intriguing. I mean, anthologies are always fun. I
Mm-hmm.
really love the 40 years of Star Wars anthology that told A New Hope from different points of view. And this, looking over the author list, I don't recognize a lot of these names except for a couple. Delilah S. Dawson, she's written some great new canon Star Wars books. And I recognize Michael Cogg, but I don't remember what he's written. But yeah, I mean, that should be cool.
Still no Kevin J. Anderson.
Yeah, I know,
What
right?
a travesty.
He's too busy writing the 18th Dune novel.
Is he still writing Dune books?
He and Brian Herbert are still cranking out Dune novels. And amazingly, to tie everything back into Dune here at the beginning of the episode, they've expanded in between the Frank Herbert books after them. They took his notes for what was going to be Dune 7 that he never wrote before he died. They turned that into a duology that wrapped up everything.
Mm.
So yeah, Kevin J. Anderson kind of became Mr. Dune these last 20 plus years.
Well, good for him.
But yeah, and he seems to really enjoy that. So, oh, and then I almost forgot. There is a fourth book listed here in this article, and that's called Padawan by Kirsten White, and that comes out next July 26th. And it says Obi-Wan Kenobi struggles with his place in the Force as a young Padawan in this coming of age adventure. And this sounds exactly like Jedi Apprentice, the old Jude Watson series.
I hope it has a cover that does those books justice.
I know,
Because
right? Now, this is interesting. It says in the description here, it says at one point, Obi-Wan impulsively takes off by himself. Upon arriving on this mysterious lush planet, he encounters a group of teenagers with no adult supervision,
oh
and who
jeez,
all seem to have some connection to the Force. Free from the constraints of the Order, Obi-Wan joins them in their daring adventures. And that sounds exactly like there was a Jedi Apprentice book. I think it was number 5, which I'm gonna pull up here in 2 seconds.
this sounds like Peter Pan.
It does almost, huh?
I
Um,
I don't even know if I'll get around to reading the Wikipedia article on this book. I mean, but it's is this does it say if this is young reader? Is this like a
no, I think this is an adult novel one.
oh
So
come on.
the one I was thinking of, the original Jedi Apprentice was The Defenders of the Dead, which was the fifth book in from 1999. And I think there's a plot summary here. It says, and you might remember this because I think you read most or all of those back in
No.
the day. I mean, this might
Wait.
jog some memories, but it says here the planet Melita Dan, which is like different sides, is in the middle of a civil war where the two factions are slowly killing each other. Tal is taken hostage. That's Obi-Wan's female friend, the Jedi. And then it says they get caught in the local war and must seek refuge with the young. The young are a group of orphaned Melita and Dan children who are determined to end the war waged by their elders, no matter what it takes. Obi-Wan is soon wrapped up in their enthusiasm and helps their cause, much to Qui-Gon's displeasure and against his and Master Yoda's orders. And I remember, as it goes from that book to the next, Obi-Wan literally leaves the Jedi Order for like a month or something. And then it picks up in the next book, and obviously he rejoins and everything. But it's weird that when I read the description of this Padawan book, I was like, that sounds really familiar. But again, I think this is a case of
It's a trope.
it's a trope. It's a Star Wars. It's a story structure that is
No.
familiar, and it's going to come up again and again. And like you said, Peter Pan. It's more or less the same concept. So anyway, uh, so
Great.
that's your
And
Star
no, I
Wars.
didn't read hardly any of the Jedi Apprentice books. I had bought them
You owned them though.
I owned a lot of them, maybe all of them. I don't remember, but I read like the first two, and I was like I ain't got time for this crap.
Are you sure you didn't read more of the ones with Siri? You know, the Padawan that was the female with the blonde hair. And anyway, I thought years ago you were telling me about those.
Maybe I did. I don't know.
I
If I
thought you got
did,
further than I did because I got up to like number 8 or 9.
oh, I didn't
And I
get that far. No way.
okay, okay.
No way. I mean, if I did, I don't remember. And
I'm gonna pull up
I
old text notes from saved conversations from
okay, yeah,
1998 or 99.
rub that in my face. I'm gonna
We'll
be
see
like
what happens.
Reagan. I don't recall.
Blame it on the Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's your Star Wars book news. Those are all coming out early, mid next year, and should be a lot of fun.
All right, now let's talk about Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales. What did you think?
Perfect for the Halloween season. I thought this was really fun. I was not that I could get like super excited for a Lego special, but like, you know, you and I, we read the Vader's Castle comics last year, and the last couple years I've been keeping up with those, and this was almost in the same spirit in that location is almost like, okay, we need a Halloween Star Wars story. Where are we gonna do it? All right, Vader's Castle. It's become the Transylvania of Star Wars.
Yeah.
It was really fun, and let me just read off the story cap for any listener that happened to have not seen it yet. After a skirmish with First Order stragglers, Poe and BB-8 crash on Mustafar. After journeying through a creepy forest, they find their way to Vader's old castle, which is being turned into a themed casino run by Graballa the Hutt, last seen in Lego Star Wars The Freemaker Adventures. They soon run afoul of Vinay, who, through the episode, shares creepy tales of Vader's castle's past in preparation for unlocking his secret vaults and obtaining a Sith holocron for himself in a final battle. Yeah, I think it was a good amount of humor and all the classic kind of Lego humor. Nothing mind blowing, especially for us being older viewers, but it was fun. It was just overall fun.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it was great, but it was fun. I don't think I liked it as much as the holiday special, the holiday Lego
Mm-hmm.
special,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
I hope that they do more of these.
You
So
know, it's funny you say that about the holiday special because I had the opposite feeling, especially now that I rewatched Terrifying Tales in preparation for our review. I feel like it edged out over holiday special for me because I did see that one a second time also.
yeah.
But I mean, it's who cares? It's a
Well, I mean,
45-minute
you know,
Lego
it's not,
special.
it's not like the holidays Lego special is like on some pedestal way
But
above this.
also, when the original holiday special is such a abysmal pedestal to begin with, there's nowhere to go but up.
Right.
It's like you can have Lumpy and his jar full of bees for 2 hours, or you can have a 45-minute fun and irreverent Lego special. So yeah, now there's some. I took some notes the other day when rewatching this, and just wanted to mention again, Poe is of course voiced again by Oscar Isaac, who also did him for the Lego Holiday Special as well as Star Wars Resistance, and
Which is kind of interesting because he's one of the actors that doesn't seem super excited about, you know, future Star Wars projects. You know what I mean? As
to
far as
me,
movies.
I always got the vibe that it's just kind of a job for him, and he's just like on to the next thing, you know.
Yeah.
But what's funny is I was going to mention he voiced Gomez in the last two Addams Family animated
Right.
films.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know, maybe it was in his involvement with Star Wars Resistance a few years ago. Maybe that opened the door to him, and he enjoyed voice work, and he's just like, you know, this is some extra money on the side. It's fun, it's easy,
Yeah.
which is also probably what Mark Hamill thought back in the early '90s. It's a nice steady paycheck, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, you don't have to go in and get makeup done, and you know, it's probably less prep work than a movie,
Well, and a lot of
obviously.
times you could do it anywhere now too. You
Yep,
know,
that's very true. Very
you could
true.
be, as long as there's some sound studio in the in the town
Mm-hmm.
that you're at. You can,
Which every major city will obviously have.
yeah,
And so yeah, I thought that was interesting. And there was just other than that, there's so many little bits and pieces. I like the skeleton trooper when they're going through
yeah,
the hallway and looking at the different stormtroopers. That was kind of fun. And it's funny that Vinay had, who we all know as the guy from Rogue One, who's like, "My lord, Director Koenig has arrived."
right.
He's become like the Igor of like Star Wars.
Well, he's great in the Vader's Castle comics.
Yeah, it's almost like he's a like amalgamation of like Igor, Dr. Frankenstein, and like Dracula, like all wrapped up into one character. But who would have thought that that one guy would have like this whole side expansion with like Lego and comics and all this other stuff. So I hope we see more of Vinay in like normal Star Wars stories.
Yeah,
It'd be
well,
kind of fun.
I hope that they do like a Rogue One special edition and insert
Yeah,
Tony Hale as Vinay instead of whoever the old guy was that played him in the movie.
right, right. Yeah. That'd be funny seeing Rogue One special edition. Don't put it past them because they might actually do it. Maybe we could stick some terrible CG Rontos in the scene
It's just
on
walking in front of the camera
on Jeddah.
constantly.
Yeah, on Jeddah. It'll be right there in the city.
Jawas falling off of him and stuff.
Right. Another thing I liked about the Terrifying Tales was there was a lot of poking fun at the movies, especially even the sequel trilogy, like the story elements from that with everything with Ben Solo and his training under Luke for one of the side tales. It was like what did he say? He's like, how long did Luke train on Dagobah? Like 20 minutes.
Right, right. I
So,
like it when they poke fun at the movies and stuff.
yes.
Which
Yes.
that's why I like the holiday special a lot because there was a lot.
Mhm.
I felt like there was a lot more of that. They touched more bases with the whole thing with Ray going through time and all that stuff. But
Yes. Yes. Exactly. It's such a fun way to not take everything seriously and just let loose. And like, I can't imagine someone really criticizing these. I mean, they're fucking Lego Star Wars specials. Just calm down. If you don't like it, who cares? It's not like the movie is like, it's not sacred space or anything.
yeah,
Um,
so that segment. Let's talk about that segment.
yeah,
Did you like the Lost Boys
I loved it.
motif? Yeah,
Oh my god! As soon as, well, for my first inkling of it was when they get on the speeder bikes and it has almost like this '80s soundtrack vibe,
yeah.
and I was like, "Wait a second, is this going where I think it's going?" And then, as soon as the Bith is going on a heated saxophone
I'm
solo,
surprised. I'm surprised that the mullet um,
yeah,
on what's his face. What was his
on
name in the
it
segment?
was just, yeah, I think it was just Night
Oh, it
of
was
Ren.
Ren. It was Ren. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
because he's
Ren,
Ren. Um,
voiced
the
by
mullet
Christian
didn't.
Slater.
The mullet didn't tip you off. I thought
I
that.
know,
I thought it was
yeah,
funny that Christian Slater did the voice because he's like a name, kind of a big name actor, and
right.
it's like they couldn't get Kiefer to do
I
it. I don't even know
know.
if they wanted to. And then it's like,
Yeah,
okay, well, Christian, are you just like low rent Kiefer Sutherland now?
I
Like you're
know,
the
right?
go-to for. I thought that was kind of. I don't know. I'm sure there's not like Christian Slater's definitely not low rent Kiefer Sutherland, but
Right, right. But
it
maybe for the sake of like this, like a throwback kind of thing, it just looks that way.
yeah. Well,
But no, yeah,
it's more like you're playing Ren. It just so happens that Ren is and this whole thing is like, Lost Boys. So
right, right.
if if there's ever a movie Ren,
I know, go for
live
Christian Slater.
action Ren.
Wouldn't that be mind blowing? That like Terrifying Tales was like the seed that planted that like in the
That
future.
solidified who plays Ren, live action Ren. That'd be great, man. Christian Slater, because
I would love
he
it.
was in Star Trek
Mm-hmm.
uh
The
six.
Undiscovered Country.
Yes, he was in Star Trek 6.
Right, for that
So he
one
would
minute.
be he'd be one of the few to be in both universes. Well, now he is for
Exactly.
sure, but
Yeah, yeah. It's funny too, because like he's one of those actors that, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'd love to see him in a Star Wars movie, like live action. Like you and I, we have our wish list of various people, and he's just one of those for me. I would love to see him in Star Wars, but
Yeah.
does a great job here. And yeah, the whole Lost Boys thing, the saxophone part had me busting up. I was
Yeah.
like legitimately laughing, and then hanging on the bridge, and then like letting go into the
Uh-huh.
mist. I was like, oh my god, dude, I can't believe they went there. So that was a great
Which
segment.
the only bummer I felt like was in my mind it built up this expectation that each segment would be like a riff on a
A movie.
some movie or something, yeah, some existing thing,
Yeah,
but it wasn't. So that was kind of a
not
bummer.
yeah, not so much. It was funny too because after it showed those scenes from Lost Boys, I was like, oh, where's the ramen noodles with like the
Yeah,
maggots
I
or
know that's
whatever?
right. Yeah.
Is it coming? They never did, but yeah, that was a great part. And oh, the other thing that was, I guess it would be kind of a reference to an 80s horror movie was when the ghost of Ren is like appearing over Ben in his bed, like through the ceiling. It's
Yeah.
a lot like Freddy and Nightmare on Elm
Yeah, I,
Street.
I was trying to. I was like, was that in Lost Boys? Because that to me that was like all Freddy Krueger, Nightmare
You,
on Elm
you know,
Street.
now that I think about it, who knows? Maybe it was also a thing in Lost Boys, but I
I don't.
know
I don't
it
think it
was in
was,
Nightmare on Elm
but
Street because I just watched that. So who knows? Maybe it was both, but it's been so long since I've seen Lost
you
Boys.
know it's funny. I'm looking at the IMDb for um for Terrifying Tales, and I noticed
Hmm.
that Matthew Wood did the voice of Ben Solo, which
Oh,
is kind of
interesting.
kind of cool because he's
Yeah,
usually just relegated to Bib Fortuna and the
and battle
battle
droids.
droids. Roger, just saying
Right.
Roger, Roger over and over again.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but it was Jake Green did the voice of Poe.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it
I
wasn't
could have swore it
Oscar.
was Oscar. Okay, well, Oscar definitely did the holiday special, though.
Okay.
I'm almost positive of that because we went over those notes when we reviewed that
Well,
last
I'm not gonna
year.
bother looking that up, but
Yeah. Okay, we'll throw everything I said in the entire opening review of this
yeah,
out the window.
and
But
raise
that's
up what I said. He does. He's done with Star Wars.
he's
Fuck the
done with
Star
Star Wars.
Wars.
He's he's
Another
he's
Lego piece of
he's
shit.
focusing on his Adams Family paycheck right
And
now.
Dune.
And Dune.
He's gearing up for Dune Lego Dune shorts.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the sandworms on that. Um, the other thing I was going to mention, when they're showing the Jedi Training Academy scenes with Jedi Master Luke, Luke is there's that student off to the side who like is trying to lift the rocks and then he just kind of falls on his foot or something, and then Luke says, "Oh, Cosler," and I'm like, "Oh, did we just get the name of like another student? And is this a thing or like what who's this Cosler?" So I went ahead and got on Wikipedia, and the only reference was Terrifying Tales for the character, but turns out this was an Easter egg for Jason Cosler is a senior manager and producer who specializes in content development at Lego. He was the producer on two of the animated series as well as the Lego All Stars and Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. So I guess they just wanted to throw in a little Easter egg to Jason Cosler
Wow,
and
how
make him
exciting.
a yeah, make him a little Jedi character. Um yeah, I think that's all I got to say about that
Yeah. So
particular
that was the
segment.
strongest one. And then the next
Right.
segment was the dueling monstrosities
Yeah,
with
that one was fun.
Maul and Grievous.
Right, right. That there was a lot of good jokes about their lack of legs, or when they had to get, well, mostly with Darth Maul, from his crab legs to his what he later got, his cybernetic kind of legs. But
Yeah. The
no,
transition.
there was some good parts, but for me this was actually the weakest one. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say it was the weakest.
It
Not to
was,
say it was bad. It was just like it's cool to see
yeah,
Maul and Grievous interact and all that stuff.
I would like to see it for real, like in an animated Clone Wars kind of thing, but who knows? Maybe we'll see it in the Ahsoka series or something.
Yeah, well, this is as good as it gets for now.
Yeah. there was a oh yeah, I did like how Poe is like joking about the incredulity of Darth Maul surviving after being cut in half. He says, "Is anybody buying this?"
Right? Yeah.
Again, the fans and the fanboys like speaking through Lego in a very meta way.
He's just
Um,
like somehow Maul has returned. He's that
right,
guy.
right. Um, there was in the frame story when they're going through the castle and there's that little kid character named Dean, and I don't know what that's a reference to, but
Well, not
if there
everything
is
has to
one.
be a reference.
No, that's not true, but it sounds very Earth like that name. That's what made me
It's probably
wonder.
some intern at Lego.
He mentioned, I think his parents were on Arcanus, which is originally from a West End Games book. Once again, the one I referenced the most, Galaxy Guide 7, most precisely. Um, but yeah, that was the sector capital of the sector that Tatooine was in. And so that was just cool. I like hearing Arcanus referenced here and there.
Any
And
sort of references to existing stuff, even if it's not necessarily old EU stuff, but if it's anything that's not
obscure.
like, yeah, anything obscure is great.
Yeah, the more obscure, the better. And the master of that was always James Luceno in
Yeah.
his novels. He was always pulling things out from the video games and little things like that. But so then we move on to the next segment, which was the Wookiee's Paw, which I like the setup for that. That like literally, and this is a take on the old Monkey's Paw story, which even The Simpsons dealt with on one
Oh,
of
they
their.
did they did it really good. It has one of the best back and forths with that
Yes,
the frozen yogurt bit or
yes.
whatever. But this one did all right with it.
Yeah, and I thought it was funny that I thought they were just gonna talk about the Wookiee's paw or like not, but the fact that they actually showed it and he lifts the chest and it's just this Lego Wookiee paw,
Yeah.
like that was so good. Um,
And it's got the little chain, like a rabbit's foot and everything. It's
exactly,
great.
exactly. So this was basically like an alternate history tale of what would happen if Luke joined the Imperial Academy and became a TIE fighter pilot, and all of the hijinks that entails with him meeting Vader in a different way, and then becoming Vader's wingman, basically. And then the scene where he's Vader's riding on his back, and then they do the Death Star swing over the trench, and then like
Hmm.
Vader kisses his cheek, and he's like, "For luck." That was another scene that had me cracking up a
Yeah.
lot. That was just really funny. So yeah, this I like this one a lot. This was it might have been probably besides the Lost Boys, this was my other favorite scene. Um, yeah, what do you think of this part?
I liked it. Second best
Second
segment.
best, yeah.
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 Easily.
And the thing is, all these are really short because these are still tales within a tale. So it's like there's the frame story, and then at the very end we get the zombie-like battle droids, um, you know, literally being like Roger, 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 and
Yeah.
then there's the funny Shining parody where one breaks through the door. Here's
Yeah.
B14961138 That was really good. Got the little 1138 Easter egg in there. Um, and then I was gonna say also at the very end, so Vinay is in this giant mech suit and he's got the Sith holocron and he's about to drop Poe into the lava, and then of course Dean saves the day, flies Poe's X-wing, shoots Vinay, and then as he's falling into the lava, was that a Gollum reference to
I don't
Return of the
know.
King?
Yeah, it's
'Cause
kind of funny. I mean, but that's kind of a common
it's common,
thing.
yeah. But it was the way the
I mean, even
mech
in Star Wars.
melted. But it was like the way the shot looked, the way it melted down, like segment by segment, and then the last thing was like, I don't know, it just looked a lot like the ring in that last shot in Return of the King. But who knows? Yeah, so I guess that's basically it.
A
Uh,
really high level overview.
yeah, I know, just
you know,
scene
you
by
know,
scene.
one thing I noticed is the opening music for this,
Mhm.
for the Terrifying Tales overall. So I guess it would be the connecting story. It sounded so much like the opening music for Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, if you go back, if you watch the beginning of Terrifying Tales, listen to music, and then go watch the opening for Bram Stoker's Dracula when it's like back in the
Hmm.
past and it's Dracula, before he was a vampire and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
It's very close to that.
I wonder if that was intentional.
I don't know. It's great. I love that. I mean, that's why I picked it up because it's like so vivid in my head,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
opening scene with the the silhouette battle and all that stuff and the
You know what? I have still
dragon
not seen
armor.
that movie. All these
Really?
years, I've still never seen
Are
it.
you
Yeah.
kidding me? That movie's
Uh,
great.
hey, as soon as you get on Titanic, maybe
Oh,
I'll
come on.
see
That's
Bram Stoker.
different. That's different. That's
No, I
way
know.
different, man.
Yeah, I just saw Hellraiser like 3 weeks ago. So,
Yeah, but yeah, you got to watch that Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's great. I mean, the
you know,
cast is great.
yeah, it does look good when I see clips of it and reviews and things. And of course, I mean, it's one of those things where I've seen so many pieces and so many parodies and references that I feel like I have seen it, but
Mm-hmm.
it kind of like growing up, you see all these Godfather parodies and all this other stuff. It's like you don't even need to watch the movie, but
Right. You've
that
you've
is
you've
one.
absorbed it from other sources.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that is one I do eventually want to see because it might have been Coppola's last good movie because after the mid 90s and beyond, his movies got really banal and not that great. But anyway, side tangent. Um, yeah, I'll get around to that. And then so I guess that's it for Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales.
Oh, there was one more
Yeah.
thing. I just have to mention. It was mildly annoying that Grabala the Hutt was. I mean, there was no problem with Dana Snyder doing the voice
Hmm.
of Grabala, but he basically just did his Master Shake voice from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Oh, really? I've only seen bits and pieces of that, so I wasn't super familiar.
So it does work with. I felt like it really worked for a Hut in
Hmm.
Grabala's character, but I don't know. It bugs me when a voice actor and um Hamill falls into this too. A lot of people say that Hamill's like, oh, he's the modern day Mel Blanc or something like that,
Right,
but
right,
it's not true because Mel Blanc, you wouldn't be able to tell it was Mel Blanc from character to character.
right,
But
right.
with
Unless
Hamill,
you're really, really, it's hard. But
yeah,
like, yeah, you
Hamill
can't do.
can do voices, but a lot of times he falls into doing the same voice over and over again.
It'll be like a variation on the Joker, where it's a creepy, evil voice,
Yeah.
but without
He
the Joker
can he
laugh.
can differentiate, and Dana Snyder can too. Dana Snyder has more uh variations even just on the Master Shake voice. He
Right,
can do
right.
other stuff. So it just kind of annoys me when a voice actor there's a character that has a voice and then they just use that somewhere else. And
Yeah,
that
you
kind
know
of
what's
was that for me with Grabala.
what's funny is years ago someone pointed out that Frank Oz, of course, also did Miss Piggy and
Mhm.
Grover. And
Mhm.
now I can't unhear Yoda when I'm watching Sesame Street clips and I see Grover, and I'm
Yeah.
just, it's Yoda. And then even with Miss Piggy, even though he's doing a female voice, you can just kind of hear the Frank
Oh,
Ozness in
well,
it.
you could definitely hear that it's the same person, and Hamill's voices are like this. You can tell that it's Frank Oz in those three characters, right?
Yes, yeah,
They're like they're in a Venn diagram of like
yes,
there's some overlap. Um,
yeah,
but he can go outside of that. But I feel like Grover for sure. That one's
yeah,
hard.
yeah.
But Miss
Because
Piggy, I think is different enough.
no, it is
But
different enough. It was only when I learned that he did Miss Piggy like that, then I was like, oh yeah, yeah, I hear it. And that's how it is though. Once you learn, it's and as an
yeah.
adult too. As a kid, I didn't
Well,
notice these things.
I would always get really annoyed in old like 80s cartoons when there would be a change in the voice actor.
Yep, yep.
And they're probably like, kids don't give a shit. And probably most kids don't care, or even
Right.
can tell the difference. But I always like would get like annoyed. Like the real
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, they did it with Peter Venkman.
Yeah,
Um,
didn't they on the last couple seasons of that?
yeah, they made the
It
switch from what's his name? The guy who
the
did
guy that does
Garfield's
Garfield.
Garfield. They switched to Dave Coulier, which was fine.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Dave Coulier did fine, and they did the same thing
Cut it
on
out.
one of the. They did the same, I think, with one of the Ninja Turtles, didn't they? On the old
Uh,
series.
I think they did because I was even visualizing TMNT when you were talking about that.
Yeah,
And if they did, it was probably as I was fizzling out on it anyway, around
yeah.
92, 93. But no, I do kind of remember that with TMNT. I don't think it was Leonardo because I think Cam Clark did Leo through the whole thing. But there was one of the,
I
it
feel
might
like
have
it
been
was Raphael. I think
Raphael.
it was Raphael, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Anyway, I really shouldn't complain that much, especially about like Dana Snyder doing
Yeah.
Master Chick's voice, because at least it's a voice actor doing it. It's not like
Hmm.
when these big budget movies they'll get a real actor and then the real actor just
Phones it
talks,
in.
not phone it in, but just they got that actor to put the name on
Oh,
the poster.
yes. I absolutely know what you mean. Thankfully, there's so many CG animated movies now, and it's become such a thing with celebrity voice actors. I mean, it doesn't stick out as much. It's so expected now to have kind of like well-known names.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's becoming more of there's more effort put into new voices instead of just sticking them in, for just their Hollywood, marquee status.
Yeah.
Um, because that used to really bother me. That's what made me avoid so many animated movies. Because not for one thing, I wasn't a kid, but also I'd just be like, oh, here's another CG piece of crap from Pixar that they just slapped, some, has been like from the 80s, giving them like Billy Crystal when he started doing the Monsters Inc. and all that after his live action stuff was fizzling. I was like, ugh,
Now
that's so
listen, you can talk shit on Billy Crystal, but you better not talk shit about Craig T. Nelson. Okay?
No, absolutely not. No, Craig T. Nelson is great.
I'm waiting for that Coach revival uh series.
Oh, are they gonna do it?
No, I don't know. That was a joke.
You never know.
I'd
I have
rather
no
see him
idea.
show up in like a new Poltergeist movie or something.
And speaking of Craig T. Nelson, I just rewatched Poltergeist last night to tie this back into Halloween for our Halloween themed episode here. I just rewatched Poltergeist, and it turns out that the house is over in Simi Valley, just 20 minutes from me, or 30 minutes. And I Google Street Viewed it. It's still there. It still looks more or less the same. And
Does
I'm
it
gonna
still have
probably
that sort of like brown paint, or have they
it's
painted it? Because I
I
love
think
that. I
it's
love that 70s 80s like
suburbia. Yeah.
suburbia from Hollywood and from real
Well,
life, living in SoCal and stuff.
exactly. That always was very nostalgic when I see Poltergeist, of that time period with those
Mm-hmm.
houses. But what's funny is not only is that house close, but I was looking at it like in the movie and on Google Street View, and I'm like, this is like the same rubber stamped house that like I live in.
Mm-hmm.
The roof where the garage is, where the front door is, and the pathway,
Yeah.
it's 95% the same as where I currently live. So I was like, whoa, I live in the Poltergeist house
Well,
more or
hopefully,
less.
hopefully it's not on top of an Indian burial ground or cemetery or whatever it was. Oh, in the first one, it
you,
was a cemetery,
you
right?
only move the
Yeah.
headstones. Good times. Anyway, I think I've waxed long enough on Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales.
I know I
Um,
have.
yeah. So anyway, we hope everyone enjoyed this episode of Star Wars Unfiltered. Remember to check us out on our YouTube channel, of course. We are also on Facebook and Instagram, and very soon in the very, very, very near future, we're going to have more Twitter updates. That's one aspect of our social media and connections that we haven't focused on as much, but it's a little hard with like networking and certain things. The Facebook page certainly is really hard the way with Facebook is with their algorithms, but we hope everyone continues to check us out wherever they can. Instagram is a lot easier, and that's filled with content. So I hope everyone enjoys. And until the next episode, may the force be with you.
Good night.